Wednesday night at 7, Burt Reynolds is literally at the end of his rope. In the end.
Now just tell me, how long have I got?
Say you got a year.
Oh, my God!
He'd prefer to hurry along the inevitable and ask Dom DeLuise for help. Sally Field co-stars in the hilarious hit comedy The End, shown Wednesday night at 7 with fewer intermissions on Receptive Channel 9. Join us tomorrow night at 7 on the Movie Tube as Hollywood Super Movies Week continues with Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise, and Sally Field in the hilarious hit comedy, The End, here on Receptive Channel 9.
Up with Toro equipment here at Latrobe. I know it lasts. That's why our new rider is a Toro. It's so durable. It carries a 2-year warranty. All the Toro riders do. And talk about versatility. It side discharges, vacuums leaves, mulches, even bags. And it makes one heck of a golf cart.
8 horsepower models starting at $999.95.
Most of the tomatoes you buy in the store are almost as tasteless as the plastic they're wrapped in. No comparing them with these big, delicious beauties fresh from the garden. These are my kind of tomatoes, and this is my kind of plant food, Stern's Miracle Grow. Miracle Grow not only gives you bigger, more delicious tomatoes, it gives you more tomatoes, pounds more than other types of plant food. Miracle Grow, because the better you feed your tomatoes, the better they'll feed you.
Honda motorcycles for half price. $1 million inventory anniversary sale price as we head for 1,000 sales in May. Towsley Honda Yamaha Discount Center, White Bear Lake.
KMSP TV, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Coming up on Primetime News tonight, missing children are being helped by an innovative computer program in Hopkins.
Also, rioting marks the president's visit to Spain, and in Beirut, fierce fighting has left 28 dead. Good evening, I'm Rod Graves.
I'm Beth Ruyak.
I'm Perry Williams. In sports tonight, the Twins are taking on the Yankees at the Metrodome. We'll have highlights.
And I'm Joe Dandria. In weather, more sunshine is on tap for tomorrow. Beth?
Topping the news this evening, the search has ended for the bodies of 17 Marines presumed dead after their helicopter crashed in the Pacific Ocean.
Among them was Jeff Tucett, a Coon Rapids man believed to be the pilot of the downed helicopter. Nancy Benson has that report.
The search turned up no trace of the missing Marines, who reported engine trouble and were headed back toward land. An American official says from all reports, it appears the helicopter just stopped working and plummeted 500 feet into the ocean. The news of the crash first reached the grandmother of 26-year-old Jeff Tucett by radio. It wasn't until later in the day that she found out her grandson was on board the helicopter.
When I got home, my grandson John was here and told me the bad news.
Jeffrey Tucett lived on this street during part of the time he spent in Coon Rapids, and some of his old neighbors from here remember him very well.
He was a good, clean-cut fella. He was interested in sports and the service, and he was very good and caring, treated older people with a lot of respect.
This isn't the first crash of this kind of helicopter. There have been 5 such crashes of various models of the CH-53, a fact that hasn't escaped Evelyn Tucett.
Why are they putting our young fellows at the wheels of those helicopters? They should be taken off and not submit our boys to death like that.
Nancy Benson, Channel 9 News, the Twin Cities.
Thousands of Vietnam veterans received a belated welcome home from the city of New York today. The vets, most of them dressed in fatigues and wearing ribbons and medals, marched through Manhattan's financial district in a ticker tape parade.
They marched, they wheeled, they danced, they hugged.
Overdue, but better late than never was the way most of the vets seem to feel about the parade New York through.
I feel great. I think I'm coming home to America.
Some things that are important you have to wait a long time for.
I feel like $1 million.
$1 million.
Sure. After 10 years, we finally got something that's to cut people in this country, open their eyes for us. They really do respect us, I hope.
These men who feel as if they've gotten no respect were showered with it. The only thing that rained on this parade was confetti. All they heard were cheers.
Thank you, thank you.
Thousands of veterans gathered in Brooklyn and poured across the Brooklyn Bridge for the march down Broadway, the Canyon of Heroes it's called on occasions like this. The parade was the climax of a celebration centered on the dedication of a new Vietnam memorial. Its glass walls are etched with letters from those who fought in the war. The events brought men together who hadn't seen each other for years.
Oh, yeah, good job. You got old.
I know that. I lost my hair, too, right?
It was a day for reminiscing, for cheers, and for tears.
Overseas, militia forces on both sides of Beirut's Green Line fought their fiercest battles in months last night. Police say the artillery barrage overnight on Beirut's residential areas claimed 28 lives and injured hundreds more. Lebanon's military leaders have called for a ceasefire, but there's been no response yet from Christian and Muslim militia leaders. Meanwhile, the Vatican says Pope John Paul is looking at the Lebanese situation to see whether there's anything he can do to help the peacekeeping efforts. President Reagan wrapped up his two-day visit to Spain today with another round of talks with Spanish leaders, and there were more demonstrations against his visit as thousands of protesters clashed with police near the U.S. Embassy in Madrid. At least 6 people were hurt as the protesters burned American flags and threw bricks and bottles at police. President Reagan spent most of the day meeting with Prime Minister Felipe González. The two men agreed to talk more about reducing U.S. military presence in Spain. But Central America was the main topic today. We have more in this report.
There was a lot of talking going on, largely about U.S. sanctions and policy toward Nicaragua. The discussion assumed a special urgency since Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega is due in Madrid on Saturday. Spain, like many of America's other European allies, has been critical of the president's trade embargo.
We have discussed the situation there, and I think we understand each other.
Read that as agreement to disagree. Quipped Secretary of State Schultz, I didn't get any sense of support for our sanctions.
I think it's clear that they're not going to join us in it.
In fact, the differences go well beyond the sanctions issue. The divisions between Spain and the U.S. over Nicaragua are deep and perhaps intractable. Prime Minister González firmly believes the U.S. should start talking to the Nicaraguan government again, the Sandinistas, and should stop supporting the Contra rebels. The basic disagreement, says the Secretary of State, is the degree to which Spain thinks Nicaragua is becoming a Soviet satellite.
But my impression is they hold the view that, yes, that seems to be true, but perhaps there's still some hope. And so there's a difference in analysis.
President Reagan said he and Prime Minister González held fine talks, and the Spanish leader now has a greater understanding of U.S. policy. But the president's formal statement gingerly avoided any implications of agreement.
We noted that further efforts are needed to strengthen peace, democracy, and economic progress in Central and South America. And I know this is a region of special interest to Spain, as it is to the United States.
White House officials say there was agreement with the Spaniards, but only on the broadest objectives of the need for peace, democracy, and negotiation in Central America. Prime Minister González will pass that on to the Nicaraguan leader this weekend, but White House aides say he won't deliver any formal message from Mr. Reagan.
Major League Baseball, it's America's favorite game, and it's here on Channel 9. Hi, everyone, I'm Bob Kurtz. Join Harmon Killebrew and me Friday night at 7 as the Minnesota Twins challenge the Baltimore Orioles. With Channel 9, you're not just watching the game, you're a part of it. So catch all of the action Friday night at 7 here on receptive Channel 9, your upper Midwest sports leader.
was knifed in the back, says Fire Dallas star Donna Reed. She'll tell you her bitter story in this week's Star magazine.
If you don't have time to prepare diet foods, I'll show you how my fast food diet could help you lose weight.
Also in the Star, Falcon Crest Lorenzo Lamas in a fierce custody battle.
Read why he fears for his baby's safety.
Plus, Joan Kennedy's secretary reveals why she's telling all about the Kennedys.
And it's Princess Di's second honeymoon, all in this week's Star magazine.
If you hope to be looking at a field like this in a few months, now's the time to be thinking about the protection you need. Protection from a nasty insect pest called corn rootworm. That's what this field got. A line of protection that travels the length of every row. The Lorsban 15G line. No product available today helps produce better yield results than Lorsban 15G insecticide.
Yogurt lovers, you'll love the money-saving six-pack of light and lively low-fat yogurt. So smooth, creamy, fruity, and delicious.
So stock a sack, get the knack of the handy-dandy light and lively six-pack.
Democratic lawmakers in Washington have come up with a new farm relief plan they say will solve the main problem facing farmers. That is, low prices. The plan would shift much of the cost of farm price supports from the government to the consumer. Included is a 15% set-aside program and a proposal which calls for a government savings of $16 billion over the next 3 years.
These steps taken together in this farm bill means that supply will meet demand and prices to farmers will go up, not through taxpayer subsidies, but in the marketplace. This bill is, in fact, the only market-oriented farm bill now before the Congress.
Harkin says under the plan, consumer prices will rise 4% in the first year. Locally, reaction to the new farm proposal came quickly. Representatives of more than 20 groups, including the State Agriculture Department and Groundswell, support that legislation. They say it offers Minnesota farmers something not seen for a while. That is hope.
The University of Minnesota economists and even the USDA, everybody's numbers are falling off the bottom of the page. The administration's bill, the Boswich bill, there's nothing that will do anything to improve the income of farmers in this nation. So what we are proposing today is a sense of hope, and that is what is so desperately needed.
Minnesota Agriculture Commissioner Jim Nichols also supports the proposal. He was in Washington today lobbying the state's congressional delegation to add their names to the measure.
Just a short time ago, the Minnesota House passed the largest spending bill of the session, more than $2.6 billion for schools aid. The money would help fund the state's 434 school districts for another 2 years. The measure that passed tonight is about $80 million more than what Governor Perpich had recommended. Missing from the proposal is the governor's open enrollment plan, which would have given 11th and 12th graders the opportunity to select a public school of their choice regardless of district boundaries. Tomorrow, the Senate is expected to approve its school aids bill. Governor Rudy Perpich spent the day touring the state of Minnesota, drumming up some support for the Senate DFL tax plan. Perpich held news conferences in 5 cities today, and he told reporters there that the DFL plan is more fair than a House IR proposal, which calls for a larger tax cut but a smaller budget reserve. The governor says he will veto any tax bill which contains a reserve less than the $500 million.
Just as it would make sense for us to cut that thing down to $250 million and take a chance that we'd have to, call a special session. We're not going to spend that $500 million. It's going to stay there, and hopefully it'll stay there for many, many years to come.
Perpich also says that he believes the legislature can finish its work by the scheduled May 20th adjournment. A House-Senate Tax Committee will begin working out any differences between the two proposals tomorrow. The embattled Big Island Veterans Camp on Lake Minnetonka could remain closed this season due to a lack of funds to bring it back to health and fire code.
The state legislature is considering bills that would turn the camp back over to state veterans organizations who had run the camp since the 1920s. Janice McDonald has this report.
Minnesota's Veterans Affairs Department took over the 50-year-old Big Island Veterans Camp from state vet organizations in 1976 because of a dispute over management. The state's attempts at running the Big Island have proven just as fruitless, and now the state is looking to give the camp back.
Clearly, the state does not intend to run the camp and does not intend to make the
investment necessary to bring all the facilities up to code. We're not going to make that kind of an investment for 125 people, which is how many people used the camp last year.
Use of the camp has dropped off in recent years, partially because the vets contend they have little to say in how it is run, and partially because the place needs a lot of work. Disrepair is readily apparent, and health and fire inspectors shut the camp down last year because of numerous violations. Caretaker Richard Becker says that there has been no money to bring it back to code.
The mess hall itself, as far as Orono is concerned, is not a disaster area, but it needs new wiring and other things done to it in order to open up the camp.
And because the camp remains closed, the state must turn it back over to the veterans because of their 1976 agreement. The state Senate has already voted to reestablish the Big Island Board of Governors so it might assume the responsibility for it. The House has a similar bill in the works. Veterans seem confident that this time they can handle the situation. If not, the Hennepin County Park Reserve is waiting eagerly in the wings to buy the camp.
The veterans organizations have a lot of potential volunteer labor that if the property belongs to the veterans organizations, people will come out and work volunteer time on that property to bring it to code.
Estimates to repair the camp on Big Island run anywhere between $75,000 to $500,000. And the only thing that anyone seems to be able to agree upon is the longer it takes to decide who should do those repairs, the more it's going to cost. Janice McDonald, Channel 9 News, Big Island.
Minneapolis police say a mother and her 2 children who were found on the banks of the Mississippi River today were part of a murder-suicide attempt. Police say the mother apparently had given her 6- and 10-year-old children drugs and then had taken some herself. A passerby heard cries of the younger child around 5 this afternoon and then found that child in the river. All 3 were taken to Hennepin County Medical Center.
Earl Stephen Carr, a former mental patient, will plead guilty to charges of planning pipe bombs across the upper Midwest last year. This according to attorneys involved with that case. Under the plea bargaining agreement, Carr could be committed to a psychiatric institution for up to 15 years. In return for his guilty plea, many of the bombing charges against him would be dropped. The 24-year-old is scheduled to appear this Thursday in Washington District Court in Stillwater. It'll be at least another week before a judge decides whether Gary Dotson should have a new trial. The Illinois State Attorney's Office asked for and received the postponement. Dotson has served 6 years already in prison for a rape his accuser now says never happened. Last night he passed a lie detector test saying that he never committed the crime. The test can't be used in court, but it will be considered by Illinois Governor Jim Thompson in a clemency hearing set for sometime next week.
In California, a utilities spokesman says the Diablo Canyon Nuclear Power Plant's Unit 1 reactor is now running at full commercial power. Opponents, as you might know, have tried to block the plant's startup because the facility is built near an earthquake fault. Critics have said if there was a quake, the plant could collapse.
And still ahead tonight, as the news continues, a pioneer program is being started to help find missing children.
And a Minneapolis church extends its efforts to help feed the hungry. Please stay tuned.
Family, I'm not going to waste the day watching sports. Instead, I will painstakingly evaluate our insurance to make sure we're saving every penny we can.
Allstate makes it easy to compare insurance. Just drive over to Sears and drop the whole mess off at Allstate. We'll do everything we can to save you money. Meanwhile, you just browse.
Hey, you guys watching the game, huh?
No, we're painstakingly evaluating our insurance.
You're in your hands with Allstate. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Stop! Stop looking Litton, and stop spending so much time cooking. Look at these great microwave ovens from Litton. Litton has made these values available to its distributors and direct market dealers at special prices. There's a Litton for most every family, every budget. Come on down. Don't delay.
Bannicki's Appliance and TV St. Paul, Peterson's Appliance in Wayzata.
Hey, Arnie, we'll see you at the Open.
The Toro Open is on now. It's the biggest sale of the year. You can save a lot of green on Toro mowers, riders, and gas trimmers. Nice. Come on down. You gotta see these savings. Wish they had the Toro Open 30 years ago when I got my Toro.
Save up to $100 on selected walk power mowers.
Monsignor, there's a phone call for you.
Will McDonough?
Will.
Says you played football together.
That we did. That we did.
Think of all the times you thought about calling old friends and haven't done it. No matter how far away they are, just dial 1 plus the number.
There's so much left to say.
And they're right there.
A Hopkins man who is concerned about missing children is making it possible for home computer users to get data on those youngsters. It's the first known effort of its kind and is intended to be a nationwide resource.
Dave Seavey is in the phone systems business, and his hobby has been tinkering with his home computer, until recently when he got serious about filling the computer with information on missing children.
Well, I think to put it in a nutshell, I'm getting married in a week and a half, and my fiancée has 2 small children.
And having heard stories about abductions, Dave decided to put information he got from a newspaper into a computer billboard service. So far, 65 missing children are listed. Anyone with a home computer can have free access to the list.
The next step is to be able to do graphics. In other words, put pictures into the computer where people could call the computer here and pull up the name as well as the picture and the description. The faster the news gets out, the faster their pictures are made public, the faster the people are aware, the sooner the recovery period.
Within an hour, the home computer system would provide a picture graphic and description.
Seavey says he's not trying to compete with other efforts to locate missing children. Instead, he wants to enhance the possibility that those kids will be returned home. But law enforcement officials say there are pros and cons to his idea.
The basic idea would be fine, except there's one point that, as a policeman, I guess I think about. If there is a weirdo or a kook someplace who wants information on a juvenile or his family, whatever, that would be an easy way to get it.
In fact, since the service went online Saturday, there have been some 200 calls, none about specific children, but about the plan in general. And Seavey maintains the usefulness of it far outweighs the possibility of it being abused.
Realistically, I'd like to see terminals in public transportation buildings. I'd like to see terminals in shopping malls where these pictures could be broadcast to. I'd like to see people out taking pictures off of their computer that they've taken from our information bank and print out a copy from their computer and put them out on bulletin boards. Just really get the word out.
For more information, call or write Communications Engineering Incorporated, P.O. Box 524, Hopkins, Minnesota 55343. The number locally is 535-0112. If you have a modem, you can call this computer number, 933-8696.
In other stories tonight from around the 5-state area, Vice President George Bush made a stop in Fargo this evening for a fundraiser for U.S. Senator Mark Andrews. In South Dakota, bugs are showing up for their annual assault on farm fields. Agricultural officials are saying the bug problem could be the worst for this farming season. In Iowa, that state led the nation in agricultural exports during fiscal 1984, beating out Illinois. Meanwhile, the Farm Utility Coalition is supporting a farm bill that would force land out of production and eliminate target price support payments. Farm leaders say the incentive would save the family farm. In Wisconsin, the State Public Service Commission will ask to cut the rates of Wisconsin Power and Light by $1 million. The money would then be returned to the customers. And finally, in Minnesota, Eveleth Mines will close its taconite operations for 15 weeks beginning June 30th. About 750 workers will be laid off.
Bill Schrader is reported to be alert and responding to his doctors today, but officials at the Humana Heart Institute in Louisville say they are still trying to find out what caused a brain hemorrhage and how much damage Bill is suffering from the bleeding. Schrader was readmitted to the facility yesterday, and doctors have been conducting a CAT scan to help pinpoint the cause of the bleeding.
A Minneapolis church is escalating its efforts to feed the poor and hungry in the Twin Cities. Since February, the Disciples Ministry Church has been operating a soup kitchen on wheels underneath the 7th Street Bridge in Minneapolis. Last month, 6,000 hot meals were served, many more than expected. Since the need has been shown to be so great, the church has decided to operate another cafe on wheels in St. Paul. Church members are now busy getting the donated bus ready, putting in the floors, the booths, and the kitchen area. An exact St. Paul location has not been determined. However, the new bus will operate 7 days a week like the one in Minneapolis, and the church says it hopes to begin serving meals to the homeless by early next month.
Local police and sheriff's deputies had a big job today. They were sent out to round up dozens of well-known faces in the Twin Cities and haul them off to jail, but it was all for a good cause, to help raise money for the American Cancer Society in their jail and bail program that continues again tomorrow and Thursday. Once the cuffs were put on, the well-known Rod Grams, our very own, was taken to the jail along with them. The jail had been set up at City Center in downtown Minneapolis, and Rod had to gather enough money and pledges to get out. In all, about $32,000 was raised today. As you can tell, Rod did his part because he's back with us tonight. The money going to cancer research and services. Now, if you didn't get a call from Rod or anyone else and you'd like to donate, you can call 339-1009, which is a direct line to the jail.
I'd like to thank everybody today that was associated with this, because everybody we talked to on the phone and were so good and giving and helping me out of jail, so I didn't have to spend all that long there. So I want to thank everybody for helping us today.
Well, Joe's here, and it was a nice day to go to jail
Nice
anyway.
day.
Nice. I was going to say, are there any
Good to get out.
delightful adjectives we haven't used yet for this weather?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Looks like it's going to stay that way the next couple of days. Another dry forecast coming up.
Shopping for Mom is a breeze during the Mother's Day sale at Menards. An old-fashioned ceiling fan is a beautiful, practical gift, and Menards has a stunning selection on sale now. This 3-speed spinner has 52-inch wooden blades, a reversible motor, and it's light adaptable. On sale now for just $39. Fan light kits are on sale, too, like this frosted tulip glass fixture, just $10.88. Ceiling fans, an elegant way to say Happy Mother's Day, and they're on sale now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Toyota Challenge 85 is still here, but it all ends this weekend. And before it's over, every Toyota truck and cargo van must be sold. Your Toyota dealer's been challenged by his distributor to clear his lot, so he wants to talk deals. Make your extra cab deal now. Make your cargo van deal now. Need a car? Make your deal fast while they last. Toyota Challenge 85 will not be in this area again. Come on in.
Now at Wilkins, Maplewood, Southtown Freeway, Rudy Luther, and Toyota City.
Quality and selection for all your lawn and garden needs. Minnehaha Falls Nursery and Garden Stores providing the Twin Cities with superior value and service since 1956, backed with their guarantee of satisfaction. Minnehaha Falls Nursery and Garden Stores, complete lawn and garden centers for all your landscaping, garden supplies, trees and shrubs, flowers, plus expert advice on any lawn or garden question. Minnehaha Falls Nursery and Garden Stores, 3 locations serving you in Minneapolis, Apple Valley, and Lakeville. The name that means quality, value, selection, and service.
Presenting the Best Buy Company's biggest microwave and appliance sale ever for 3 days only this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You can save like never before on our huge selection of microwave ovens, air conditioners, gas grills, dishwashers, refrigerators, ranges, washers, dryers, and dehumidifiers. Look for the Best Buy Company's double-page ad in your Thursday paper for blockbuster prices and daily specials. But hurry, quantities are limited and many items will sell out soon. Just listen.
The Best Buy Company's microwave and appliance blowout starts Thursday. Watch your paper.
Find anyone who doesn't like an early spring, whether you like to golf, work outside, or raise bees. The folks that raise bees as a hobby or for a living say the early spring means it could be a great summer for beekeeping, but as Steve Goodspeed reports, it can also present some special problems.
It is that time of the year for Harley Whitty and hundreds of other beekeepers around the state. Spring is in full swing, and so are the honeybees. During the peak this summer, each one of these hives will contain about 50,000 bees and produce more than 300 pounds of honey. While the early spring has the bees off to an early start in hatching more bees, they face the same problems a gardener does if he or she plants too early.
The biggest problem is if we have a cold snap, that would then put them back. They couldn't protect all of the brood they have going in the hive, and they would have to let some of it chill and be destroyed.
All winter, the honeybees have been eating the food they stored up for the winter, and spring means a chance for some fresh food and nectar from a very surprising source. The first dandelions of the spring mean bad news for homeowners working on a nice yard, but for the gang in the hives, dandelions mean bee heaven. To get the most out of these bees, the hives will be split in 2, and a new queen bee will be added to the new hive. However, the early spring can mess up those plans. Beekeepers in northern states must buy queen bees from breeders in the south. And the early spring means there may be some delays in getting the queen bees up north. Meanwhile, the queen's life is not glamorous. She only has to mate once, and she and her eggs are then fertile for a couple of years. Her only job is to lay eggs, and when she gets old, injured, or just plain worn out, her loyal subjects are not so loyal.
they know that she's not laying enough eggs, and what they will do is they'll start a supersedure. They're going to replace her, and they will take an egg and they will overfeed it and produce another queen, and this queen will then take over the hive. She will find the old queen, she will dispatch her, and she will then take over the hive.
Whitty and other beekeepers like to point out that honeybees play a key role in pollination, whether it be your garden plot in the backyard or the bees used by commercial farms in Texas and California. The clumps of pollen stuck to their legs is a reminder of the work they do, and when the wasps and hornets ruin your picnic this summer, beekeepers say don't blame the honeybees, they're too busy working. Steve Goodspeed, Channel 9 News, the Twin Cities.
Well, the gardeners and the farmers and probably the bees, too, are ready for a little bit more rainfall. We haven't had a whole lot across Minnesota. The Department of Natural Resources tells us this past week, from April 30th to May the 6th, no rainfall was reported up in the Red River Valley, and under a half an inch fell through much of central and southern Minnesota, a half to 1 inch reported in central and northern sections of the state, and here in the Twin Cities it was way under a half an inch with only 7/100ths reported. Don't expect any rainfall tonight. Skies are crystal clear throughout much of the 5-state region, and that's thanks to a large area of high pressure. Without clouds, you're not going to get any rainfall across the area, and here's that high. It's going to slowly be moving to the east, and as that happens, some moisture down to the south of us will gradually start to be pumped north, and we will begin to get into a slight chance for some thunderstorm activity, probably not until late tomorrow night. Well, here in the Twin Cities right now, it's a very pleasant evening with a clear sky, 66 degrees. The dew point is still low at 41. Making our relative humidity 40%. Winds are out of the northeast at 7. The barometer is steady, currently at 30.10 inches. 70 the high, 50 was the low, and that once again is above the average. Averages are 66 and 43, and a trace of rainfall was reported early this morning as some clouds and sprinkles came through the area. Across the region now, 68 is the warm spot up at Williston, 67 also at Rapid City. Checking off to the east, a little bit cooler, 58 at Rochester, 59 at International Falls. The cool spots at Green Bay and Milwaukee, both reporting 56 degrees. National high temperature map again shows a lot of warm air, 70s and 80s as far north as Montana and Wyoming, and we're going to stay in this warm bubble probably for the next couple of days. A little bit cooler in the northeast, where temperatures were only in the 50s and 60s for highs, and a little bit cooler across the Pacific Northwest as well, with temperatures in the 50s and 60s there. Our satellite view showing some clouds through the Tennessee Valley and also in the high plains of the Texas Panhandle into western Kansas, and also across the southwest and the southeast, but a lot of clear skies here up in the central part of the country. There is some rain reported on national radar. We do have some heavy showers and thunderstorms through portions of the lower Mississippi Valley, and some more continue to develop in the Texas Panhandle, where they do have a tornado watch out until about 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at Amarillo's radar. This is the latest radar picture from Amarillo, and you can see some extremely heavy storms. Some of these have been dumping golf ball, even baseball-sized hail reported down around Lubbock, Texas. You can see quite a line of very intense activity out there. That'll drift slowly in an easterly direction. As far as our tomorrow's weather map goes, we're expecting a lot of sunshine again across the upper Midwest, some clouds across California, maybe some showers out there, some clouds and thunderstorms also across the southeast. Here in the center part of the country, we will be dominated by this low-pressure area up in Canada, but it's so far to the north that most of the precipitation associated with it will stay well to our north. We will have a gusty southerly wind, and that will create some warming temperatures here across the state. Our forecast for the Twin Cities area, then for tonight, we're calling for clear and comfortable conditions, 43 to 48 by tomorrow morning with a light easterly wind. Then tomorrow, sunny and warmer, 75 to 80 for a high temperature. Those winds will be picking up as well, south to southeast at 15 to 25. Tomorrow night will be breezy, and there is a slight chance for a thunderstorm late tomorrow night. Best chance will be in northern Minnesota. Lows of 52 to 57 degrees with a south wind, and Thursday's outlook mostly sunny and warm again, 80 to 85 again. Just a 20% chance of a thunderstorm coming in probably late Thursday or Thursday night. As I said, the farmers are about ready for some rainfall, but those chances are still slight.
All the adjectives are good. All right. Thanks. Beth?
Well, Americans have always had a love affair with their cars, and Detroit has put out some classics, but Italian auto designers are known for creating beautiful cars, such as the Maserati or Ferrari. Now one designer is creating an auto original for an American manufacturer.
To the car buff, the crowned F logo means beautiful style, whether the Pininfarina genius produces a futuristic combination of clean lines and engine power or a family car. Sergio Pininfarina has taken over the reins of the family business from his father Battista, one of the pioneers of automotive design. The Pininfarina name has been stamped on the side of Ferraris, Maseratis, BMWs, and racing cars. Now Sergio has been honored with the Design of the Year award by the Los Angeles International Auto Expo for his Ferrari Testarossa.
A great design, in my opinion, means is something which lasts for years and years. I'm personally very proud to have made some cars which have been in production in a world which is changing fast for more than 10 years. This is a great design.
Now Detroit sees gold on Italian drawing boards. Pininfarina has been commissioned to design the new limited edition Cadillac sports car.
It was not easy for Cadillac to produce a high-quality car in such a small quantity. We in Italy, we are much more flexible in production.
And now Chrysler has turned to Maserati for a new design for 86, joining the fight against European imports by using European design. Pininfarina says he's sure a trend will develop as long as these first models aren't flops. And with a track record like his, it's hard to see how Cadillac can lose.
And a good indication of how successful the new horse racing track will be in Minnesota may be the number of tickets being ordered, and so far the demand for